Yes,
Yay!
What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 201.
We are beyond up there.
We are over the hill at this point.
It's actually crazy to look down and see 201 as being the number of the episode that we are on.
Yeah. 200 snuck up on us pretty quickly, and now we're already on the other side. So 300 is just around the corner. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 201 of Ginger Runner Live. Very excited about tonight's show. Because he's a frequent guest of the show. We've had him on a number of times, but it's always like the best conversation because he's not only a badass ultra runner, he's also a race director. And now we're going to talk maybe a little bit about this on the show, but a pizza store owner. Like, he's had a business and now it's becoming a brick and mortar business. This guy is like, talk about entrepreneur.
Yes.
Our guest tonight, Jamil Coury, is going to talk all about everything that's been going on in his life, but we're going to focus on his training, because right now he's training for the Big Daddy, the big grand finale. It's big. It's a very difficult event. In case you guys have been sleeping under a rock, which Jamil has, I think, actually, at some point during this event. Where Dreams Go to Die, which is my first feature-length documentary following Gary Robbins' 2 attempt at the Barkleys, dropped last week for pre-order or pre-purchase for a duration, because we're going to be pulling it here in a couple of weeks. But that event and that movie were a big part of my life for the last couple of years. And this man who is joining us tonight on the show is also in that movie and has quite a number of experiences there. We're going to talk to him a little bit about his history and also this year's training and how this year's differed for him as far as going into this event known as the Barkley Marathons. So sit back, relax, grab your beverage of choice tonight, and welcome everyone to
Ginger Runner episode number 201.
201.
Ginger Runner.
Yay! I think I believe my video is a little bit laggy, so I apologize about that. But welcome everyone to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 201. We are up there. We are officially over the hill. 201 episodes of this amazing show every single week, every Monday. Many of you have been joining us now for years to watch this show. We've had guests of all abilities, all levels. It's been an absolute joy, and I feel like we're just getting started. 201 is just a fraction of what we'll be creating. We'll be here for another 30 years. Tonight's show is going to be exciting because our guest is an incredibly talented ultra runner, race director, now pizza franchise owner. Well, franchise I think means multiplication, but we'll talk to him about, because I think one of them's a portable version. He's going to have a brick and mortar. I'm just excited to find out the business side of things. An entrepreneur. And an incredibly talented ultra runner that is currently training for the Barkley Marathons. He's attempted it a number of times, accomplished the fun run, and he's like, in my mind, this is the year. He's going to get it. He's incredibly trained and accomplished, and we're going to talk to him all about what's going on right now with his training.
And he's also a big Ginger Runner crew fan favorite. The chat room is already a buzz.
We've had him on the show many times, and every time he comes on the show, people leave happy. People leave. No, people leave happy and inspired. He's totally honest about all of his training. He's out there, and he's endearing and humble, and it's awesome to have him on. Jamil Coury will be joining us on the show tonight. Of course, it's not just me.
It's also me. You guys, I'm Kim Tashima Newberry. As always, I'll be in the chat room. So if you guys have questions for our guests, please put them in the chat room. We'll be pulling them throughout the show.
Big thank you to Maria Elena for, you can't, I don't think you guys can actually see
mine.
Oh yeah, maybe on Kim's. But she had she had these custom engraved 100,000 subscriber beer glasses. So on tonight's episode, we're going to be partaking in our beer tonight during the show. And my beer is actually from a Ginger Runner viewer as well. Scout sent us this Cassiopeia, actually from Puebla Vida Brewing in Tucson, Arizona, which is fitting because our guest tonight lives in Arizona.
And I'm drinking lukewarm white wine.
Kim's not a big IPA fan.
No.
I am, so I'll drink all the IPAs in the house. Big shout out to a couple of individuals who help make this show happen week after week after week. Top tier Patreon supporters, Chris Lee from Hong Kong, in charge of the Trailblazer community there. He's showcasing all of the incredible trails that Hong Kong has to offer. And they're doing a very special screening of Where Dreams Go to Die here very, very soon. If you find yourself in the Hong Kong area, you live there, you're a regular viewer or listener, make sure you check that out. All of the details can be found on Chris Lee's Trailblazer website and Facebook page. Big shout out to Mr. Rick Bjarnason and his team at cheekymonkeymedia.ca. They are a group of incredibly talented designers and web creators, and they are currently creating the gingerrunner.com website, redoing it because it's a bit of a mess. That's courtesy of me. And I think I actually get to look at the new debut of the site on Wednesday.
That's exciting.
Yeah, they're basically like, I think we got it done. We're going to have you look at it on Wednesday. I'm like, oh boy, very, very excited. And his whole team up there, and he's an ultra runner training for Fat Dog, Sinister 7. Very, very nice guy. And of course, Brian Sands, also a top tier Patreon supporter, who not only ran his first marathon on October 8th in 2017, is currently training for his first 50K, but very recently we got a chance to run with him on Orcas Island, and he ran not only his first trail run, but his first trail run on technical trails at night and crushed it. And this last weekend did incredibly well. I believe it's 25K?
25K Marin Ultra Challenge.
Marin Ultra Challenge.
His very first trail race. And he crushed it.
He crushed it. Lots of celebratory pictures of him with the beer and the medal and all that stuff. So congratulations to Brian, one of the very many members of our community who are accomplishing things all the time, every single weekend. Finally, I got to introduce our guest.
Let's get to it. I also just realized your hats.
Our hats are our hats are like inversed.
They are
inverse twins.
It just caught my eye.
I think it's time to just bring him on. He's a good friend, a talented ultra runner, race director. Let's just bring him on, Mr. Jamil Coury.
Yay!
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be here.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, man.
Thanks so much. I got to shout out to Scout real quick because Scout actually works with us at Aravaipa, who sent you that beer. So that's super cool. And I know is always tuning in to GRL.
Yeah, Scout is in the chat room.
Yeah, right Scout's in the chat room now, and just a longtime viewer and supporter. And he hooked us up with some of the best beer that the Phoenix and Tucson area have to offer. So big shout out. Thanks, Scout. Very much appreciate it.
So awesome.
Let's talk about this first, and then we'll get into the training stuff. You own a pizza store now?
Yeah, we're getting there. They just dropped. So yeah, we're opening up inside of a 40-foot long shipping container, and it's part of this little development. There's going to be a brewery and a couple restaurants and a cocktail mixing place all in this little development in downtown Phoenix. So yeah, just kind of a wild ride. We just started cooking pizzas at our running events out of a little portable oven, and it's just evolved. People really have responded well, and my brother actually operates the business, so I'm involved, but I'm not operating it, day to day. But we do a lot of special events, and now, I'm a little piece of that puzzle, which is cool.
You get to just eat the pizza. Is that essentially?
I just show up and eat the pies. Yeah.
That sounds like the best job.
I think that is the best job. I mean, honestly, this is what I love about you and your business, Jamil, is that you guys are doing everything that's fun and cool. You guys are figuring out a way to do it. So I want to shout not only you and your crew out, because I know you have a great team that is able to help you accomplish all these things. I, of course, want to shout out your YouTube channel too. So you've been creating content now on your YouTube channel for how long?
Roughly 2 years, I would say, on Run Steep Get High, approximately. But I've been making videos for a while, several years.
Any cool things that we should be expecting on the channel soon?
I mean, obviously, there's a little bit more leading up to Barkley. There's a lot of projects in the works, a lot of films that we filmed at Western States last year, and we're going to be rolling out a film. We're just going to probably wait until closer to Western States this year. We just launched a podcast that we put out every week, and it's kind of a long form deep dive into current topics in the sport. Me and my co-host Jubilee, we just kind of go back and forth, and that's been really positive. So just trying to inspire people with the stuff we put on the channel. So yeah,
I think
appreciate everyone who tunes in.
It's awesome to follow your journey, not only through training and everything like that, but I love that the new podcast is great. You keep it real, you keep it fun, and man, it's like I love watching it. If you are watching this show right now, go to that channel, Run Steep, Get High, and subscribe. Just subscribe because there's content coming out from there. You guys do it almost like multiple times a week. There's something coming out all the time. So there's always some fun stuff to catch up on. And if you find yourself missing a couple weeks, you'll have a plethora of videos to like sit and down and enjoy. So shout out to you, Jamil, and the entire channel and all the crew that help you make it.
I appreciate it.
Let's get you to 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. That's huge.
You're next,
and
man.
If my math is right, if you're at 200 episodes, this is like a weekly show. Is that like 4 years worth of work right there?
It's a little over because we do take a break in December. Yeah. I think there's like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, in the
normally.
New Year sometimes we take.
It's like 2 weeks for the holiday, then 2 weeks into the new year. So yeah, it's over 4 years at this point, which is pretty neat to think that it's. And we just got mics. Like we just.
Yeah, you guys are sounding real fancy now.
We like it finally got to the point when we were like, we can't do this with a tiny scrappy USB microphone anymore. So we finally saved up and we got it. So now things sound better, which is good.
I mean, it took like a year for me to get an actual chair.
That's true.
And not sitting on a cooler.
That's true. Kim was sitting on a cooler for the first
mics are a huge upgrade.
All right. So the real reason we brought you on the show tonight is to find out how to get free pizza.
Just you guys got to come to Phoenix. That's all there is to it.
That's okay. We can make that happen. It's to talk about this training because you are currently in the midst of your build for one of the most difficult races on the planet, the Barkley Marathons. You have run this event how many times now?
3 times previously.
And is there anything that you're doing this? I just heard music on my computer. I don't know how that.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Sorry, all of a sudden music just started happening on my computer. I know exactly what it was.
I didn't hear anything.
It was very fancy.
It was like a harp.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. That was so weird because we have headphones in to hear Jamil, but all of a sudden, no one has any idea because no one can hear it. I'm so sorry. How did this year differ than any previous years as far as training is concerned? Did you have anything in mind like I need to do this much gain or this many days a week, stuff like that?
I mean, every year's been a little bit of a weird year. I had really big plans for this year for training. I was going to do 1 million feet of vertical between last year and this year.
Right.
And, I was actually kind of getting after it after I ran TDS last August. I think I put in 4 or 5 big weeks right after that. And then we hit October and we have 3 huge events we organize in October. And I was just kind of worn out and I stopped running basically for the last 3 months of the year. I was doing 15 to 20 miles a week. So, and not doing any vertical, no long runs. So I basically shut it down and didn't do anything for 3 months, not really meaning to do that. I didn't want to run. I wanted to focus on other stuff. I was really focused on the Aravaipa stuff, the race directing, and just kind of took a step away. So I guess when I found out I was in the race around the beginning of the year, I figured I should probably start training if I had any shot of doing anything this year at Barkley. And so I just kind of went from 0 to hero, more or less, and ramped up. I ran 3 50Ks in the first 5 weeks of the year. They're all ones that Aravaipa organizes. So sure. I was kind of working, like I would be out checking course markings while I was running and making phone calls to Noah, who's our race director for those events. And, but I ran Santan Scramble, Coldwater Rumble, and Elephant Mountain 50Ks, 2 weeks apart, starting January 6th. So that was on top of training, in between those weeks. So that kind of started to get me in shape by the beginning of February. And then I went to, I wanted to transition, basically I was just trying to get into shape. So I don't know if I had some grandiose plan. I was trying to play catch up. And so, but then I wanted to introduce a couple of big runs. I think those are important to do. So I signed up for Jared Campbell's Running Up for Air event in Utah.
Yeah.
So he's the only 3-time finisher of the Barkley. And he organizes this event that was birthed out of raising money for clean air because they have some terrible inversion there in the winter. But also, he used that running up and down that peak as his capstone for his own Barkley training over the years. So I went and did the 12-hour there and amassed almost 43 miles with 18,000 feet of climb. That was, February 11th. So that was really good because I ran really hard and I felt good. So by the end, the next day I ran 12 miles the next day. So
awesome.
I went right into a big week. So that was really solid. And then I had another big run planned where I was going to do 30,000 feet of climbing in a single run in over 24 hours. And I went and started that run, but I pulled the plug on it like halfway through, or not even, less than halfway through, because I was kind of bored and not really into it.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if you always wonder if you did enough. But sometimes maybe I'm trying to learn and be okay with the fact that maybe that would have been too much and maybe it would have broke me or worn me down. So, because I didn't do what I was hoping to do in that run, that week wasn't as much as I had hoped.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week I just got a bit stressed out and, only did 20 miles. I don't know why. Maybe I just needed a break from the first 6-7 weeks of the year going really hardcore.
Right.
But I wrapped things up this week with a really solid week. It was one of my biggest weeks of training ever.
Ever.
So I don't know. Well, I don't know about ever, but pretty solid, like 80 miles with 35,000 feet of climb.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And I feel really good right now. Like, I don't know. I didn't reach the end of this block and was like, oh, I need to collapse into a heap and like my knees are destroyed and I'm exhausted. That happened to me before in some big training blocks.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know if it's just like, well, I just didn't do enough work and I just feel fresh, or if like I'm actually in pretty good shape. So we'll just have to see. I don't know.
I want to remind everyone we are live. So if you're watching live, don't hesitate to jump into the chat room here on the YouTube page and ask some questions of Jamil and things that are going on, because Kim is in there. And Kim, you pulled aside a couple questions.
Yeah, there's numerous questions, very similar questions. I'll take it from Brian Sands here. He asked, what have you done differently this year for your Barkley as compared to previous years?
I trained more.
It's true, yeah.
The first time I went to Barkley, I did zero specific training. I don't even remember what I did, but I just kind of went to the race to experience it. The second time I went, my training was, I would say it was like half-assed training. So I had a coach and I only probably did about half the workouts he prescribed per week. I did a video where I went back and I was looking at some of my training and comparing it year to year. I think that year I may have hit, one single run where I did 10,000 feet of climb and a week where I did 20,000 feet. And that was a big deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it was this huge accomplishment that I did 10,000 feet in one run. And this year I've cranked out a bunch of those types of days. And it kind of, just like anything, when you build up, those of us who run ultra marathons, a lot of us can go out on any given day and run a half marathon and it's no big deal. Or for someone who's training for a half marathon, they could run a 5K. And so for me running, 5,000 feet or even 10,000 feet, I could do that on any given day. And
Sure.
That's just over time. And my perspective on training has changed over the years when I've done more and more climbing and training and stressed my body and done big weeks. So, I've put in a number of big weeks and also had some cutback weeks. So I think it's been a balance of running miles and vert miles and rest. Sure. And I'm feeling pretty good.
First, a shout out to Maya Ray Ray in the chat room. Maya is in the chat room, correspondent, of course, of Jamil's and Mountain Outhouse, all that good stuff.
What up, Maya Ray Ray?
She says, "What up, Jam Jam?" Actually, I think I might be making that up, but she is in the chat room.
I think she just said to tell Jam Jam that she said hi.
Yeah, she says hi.
She said what up.
She says what up.
What up?
What I like what you're doing, Jamil, is you're being honest with your training. It's so common to see this where people will only put out the good. They'll only put out, I accomplished this, I accomplished that, I accomplished this. Whereas you're balanced, where I had this week where I was able to accomplish X amount. My goal was this, and I achieved that. And then the next week, if your body's telling you, let's not do that again, you're not, chalking it up to make it look like training is going perfectly. It's like, well, I need to give my body the rest. I think that's something that's unique and needed. It's so easy as a regular runner to look at people like you who do these huge challenges and be like, oh my God, how does their body work that well all the time? The reality is it doesn't always respond immediately. Do you have goals for this year's Barkley?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I want to get as far as I can. I don't know. It's tough for me to just say I want to finish. I'm going to finish 5 loops, do or die. Like, I don't know. I have some confidence going in this year, based upon how my body is feeling right now, based upon what I've done in the past with the amount of training I've put in. Mm-hmm. I haven't really showed up to this race healthy and with a lot of training under my belt. I feel like I'm in the best shape this year. I'm not in the best shape I've ever been in by any means, but maybe the most healthy, I would say. Mm-hmm. Like maybe in better shape, but up to a race tired. But I don't feel that way right now. I feel good. I keep saying that, but that's just what I've been mulling over. And the other thing is I'm spending extra time now to prepare. Normally I'm very last minute. I have so much going on. It's like, oh shoot, I better pack because I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So I'm better throw some stuff in a bag. Yeah. I've already got stuff lined out. I'm, breaking in my shoes. I've already been shopping for nutrition. I'm going to pre-pack everything ahead of time for all my loops before I even fly out of here. And I'm going to do that all this week. I've been studying some of my maps and stuff from last year. So I'm visualizing in my head the course from my knowledge and experience over the past 3 times I've been out there. And just, it was so funny on my run today. I was like, I've been kind of obsessed with studying the maps lately. So I'm spending literally hours doing this. And I was on my run today, just in my head, reciting through the course, just like out loud, like, okay, then this, and then this turn, and then this turn. And I can just like play it through my head. I'm going to do that for the next week and a half or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long it is till the race. I'm going to just recite that, I think. I don't know. I've never done that before, but it seems like a really important step to just get in the mindset of that.
Awesome. Again, we are live. Kim, we got some questions from the live chat.
We have a lot of questions. This might be the most questions we've had.
It's a topic that we know a lot of people are very interested in, and we have.
And there's also a lot of
that's very interesting.
I was gonna say there's also a lot of Jamil fans in the chat room as well. Great question from Sean Jenkins in the chat room. Asked Jamil, what is it about the Barkley that interests you so much?
Everything. No joke. I mean, that's a simple answer, but the fact that it's on the very limit of possibility is extremely attractive to me. I've done a lot of races, probably 80 or 90 ultramarathons, somewhere upwards of 20 100-mile races, and I've finished them all. And like, even if I slow down and I take breaks in the middle, I always get to the finish line. And this is one that it takes you on your best day with no mistakes and everything going right to touch that yellow gate for the 5th time. And then all the elements of it, they just fit with, I think, my personality and my character really well. The wilderness survival element, the navigation, the self-reliance, the amount of climbing and descending, the off trail, the weather, pretty much everything about it is just, to me, it brings me back to being like a kid running through the forest, it feels like playing a game out there, and that's why I do it. And obviously the fact that there's only been 15 finishers of the race, and that I could join, that I could have this pursuit of something that's a long-term goal is really awesome. Like, I like that I haven't finished it yet. You know,
Right.
I haven't shown up in like top physical condition, so I don't deserve a finish yet, but I know I can get there, and the journey to get there is really fun. So I keep doing it.
That seems to be a pretty common reaction from those who I've talked to about the event, who've done the event and haven't finished. Is it's a noble pursuit, because it really, as much as it is racing the course and racing these rules and that sort of thing, it's also a personal pursuit. And can you train hard enough for it? Can you dedicate enough of your life to this? And you realize if it doesn't happen, oh, there goes the harp again. That's weird. Sorry, you guys can't hear that, but it's happening in my ear. It's a glorious sound. I wish you guys could all hear it. But yeah, it's certainly something that gives people a good goal. I would never try it. It's definitely not.
You're signed up this year.
Am
actually,
I?
Yeah.
Am I the virgin?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that's you.
Awesome. Can't wait to put a bib on and then puke for 6 hours. Let's get to some more live questions, because I know you, Kim, you have pulled aside a bunch.
I have a lot of live questions. I also had a question from myself, I guess, that I was interested in. So it said that the Barkley gets harder every year that somebody finishes. Have you noticed a big difference from the first year you were there to the last year you were there?
Yeah, absolutely. It does keep getting harder, and that's it's an interesting part of it. Because I mean, I think us as a collective of people that attempt the race, we're getting stronger as well. So I think the race has to evolve. I was so funny because I was just watching I watched Where Dreams Go to Die 2 days ago, I think. Yeah, it was like the day after I did a really big run on Friday, and I needed to just veg out. So I watched that one, and then I watched the 2012 documentary. And the 2012 one was really interesting because I was just like, it seems so old school now looking. It was only 6 years ago, but it was like the packs they were wearing, and like no one had trekking poles. They're using like sticks they found in the forest. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I mean, I'm going into the race this year. I have like a lot of high tech gear. I mean, we can't use watches, but like I have a bunch of new clothing and a new pack and stuff that Solomon's actually helping to make for me, which is really freaking cool.
Sweet.
We can talk more about that. I haven't even got it yet, but we can talk more about that. Got all these headlamps and like super light carbon poles, and it just feels like we have so much more of an advantage on the gear that can make you go faster. And just, I think everyone has upped the ante for training. What maybe you could get by with 6 years ago, you have to do so much more now, and people are doing so much more. I mean, you look at Strava and you see what Gary and Guillaume are doing, and that's hard, a little bit hard for me, because it's like you're comparing yourself to what other people are doing, and you're feeling like, oh man, like I'm inadequate because of what they're putting out there. But yeah, I just think we as a collective, our knowledge of the course has gone up, and our training is just elevating. So the course is elevating. And even from when I've done it before, they make it longer, and they make it steeper, and they take away trail, and where you could just blast through this section previously, you now have to go off trail and find the book. And it all adds, even if it adds, imagine it add 3 minutes to one book. That's a half hour in the whole race. And imagine he did that to 2 books. That's an hour. And you have these guys that are 59, 30, and then he does something that just adds a couple minutes per book, like it's a little bit further away. And now all of a sudden he's added an hour to the course. And now you can't finish it.
I mean, Kim and I have talked about this 100 times. Gary and I have talked about it 100. Our dog is going crazy. But go ahead. Kim's on it. There are so many micro things that can be adjusted to continue to push this to the absolute edge of human ability. And what we don't know, and the only people that will know will be those that toe the line whenever it happens this year is what those new changes might be, since there was a finisher last year. John Kelly crushed it with, like you said, about 30 minutes to spare. And this is someone who's attempted it multiple times and was just on that hair of being able to get it done. And like one little thing could be changed this year that will all of a sudden put it so far out of anyone's reach. And there's just no way to know. That's what I think is so brilliant about this, is that this is not the same race that existed a year ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago. I can't even imagine if you take one of the men or women that's going to toe the line this year and throw them into the event 10 years ago. Like, would there be 15 finishers all of a sudden because people are trained differently? I don't know. These are interesting questions that you kind of bring up here. What I want to also point out for those who may be watching live, Jamil was on our show last year, leading into it's either leading into or just, I think it was leading into the Barkley, because I remember talking to you a little bit about the training and stuff like that. How many loops did you end up getting done last year, and what was your training like?
Yeah, last year I did 2 loops plus 9 out of 13 books. And I saw you guys right before I got my last book. So I had just gotten page 8. You guys were there waiting, I think getting some footage. And I was right at the cusp of the 40-hour time limit. I think I was at probably 38 hours when I saw you guys. By the time I got up to the tower, I just had enough time I didn't have enough time to complete the loop for the fun run finish in under 40. So I just went back on Quitter's Road into camp. My training wasn't great last year. I had started to build up, and just as I was kind of doing my month out build up, which still I think isn't as much as I've done this year by a long shot. I got this crazy rash on my legs, and
that's right.
I just had to shut it down, like basically a few weeks out from the race. Like actually it might've been a month out. And I couldn't even sleep. It was awful. It was basically like a desert version of poison ivy, and it broke out into a rash all over my legs and blistered. So, and that persisted up until the race. Like I think I was in a hotel nights before the race in Tennessee with like new breakouts. So it was awful.
Ugh. I remember seeing you on course and in camp and stuff, and it was bad. It was so bad. I remember Jamil like, these are my legs. This is the condition they're in. And I remember looking at him and almost gagging, like, that's bad. That's bad. I'm surprised you could even like drive the car. But you don't have a rash this year on your legs. You have no desert rash.
No rash, thank goodness. Yeah.
Again, let's get to some of these live questions. Kim had to jump away to take care of Gus because he smells critters outside.
He's on the hunt. There's rabbits outside. There's a question from Adam in the chat room. He asked, Jamil, what is the biggest worry about going back to Barkley?
Sure, good question.
I mean, I do get scared, I guess, thinking about it, thinking about all the stuff I have to go through. Worry, getting lost. That's the worst feeling when you're out there. 'Cause it's just, you're wasting precious time. And especially when you think you have figured out a section in your mind. And then that happened to me last year. There's a couple sections I'm like, when I had been there before and I had already done like 7 loops prior to last year's race. So I'm thinking, oh, well, this section I don't even need to think about or study at all because I've just nailed it. And then I go out there last year, and because of the start time, we were in the dark for the whole time in that section, and then he reversed the loops on us. So instead of 2 in a row, it was like every other time. So there was this one section of the course that we were always in the dark on, no matter the direction. Like we come back, it's still dark because you've like spent the whole daytime loop on the southern end. But I just got so lost and wasted so much time. That would be my biggest worry, is just somehow screwing it up. Yeah, I don't know. The fog rolls in, but that's something everyone has to deal with. It's part of the race.
It's part of that unpredicted element that you have no idea if it's going to be rainy, foggy, cloudy, cold, hot. It's been all of those in a span of like 6 hours. So,
and that's not something that worries me too much, the weather. It's something you can't control. So you just, I prepare with all the gear and hopefully, bring the right stuff for the right loop depending on the forecast.
So we got a question in here regarding crew from Chris. He wants to know: are you going with crew this year? Are there limitations and stuff like that associated with this event this year?
Limitations, yeah. I think you can have 2 crew, I believe, and I do have 2 crew. There are people that they go to the race every year anyways, so they're very in tune with the event. So I'm not really bringing any extra people.
Sweet.
Just people that are already there. They understand the event. They're already used to waiting for hours and hours. And I don't think both of them, but I know one of them, he has multiple fun run finishes under his belt. So
Sweet.
I think there's going to be some good experience on my side.
The new rule with 2 crew members per runner this year is important to note. Those of you who are in the chat room, like, when is it, and all this sort of thing, you can follow Keith Dunn on Twitter. Keith Dunn is associated with the race, and he is the only person that will be tweeting the event on behalf of the event, and you can follow him at Keith Dunn. It's very simple, and it will give you all the information that you need, because I promise you it is not a fun race to spectate.
Yeah,
it is about as boring as you could get.
I think spectating is discouraged / 100%. Not allowed, basically.
Yep. Right.
And I know it sounds, it's just the realities of the event. It's a small area, and we have a task at hand, us who are in the race. And honestly, I mean, you guys have been to camp before. I mean, you sit around for 10 to 13 hours, and then you help for 10 minutes, and then they're gone. And then you're just waiting. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, pretty much.
And you're right, it is a small area. Like, there's not. Yeah.
I remember my first time seeing it, I was like, this is tiny. And I can understand why it's amazing in the 80s and 90s when it was just a small group of people, and how over the last few years it's gotten bigger and bigger. Kim and I will not be there. I think we've gotten questions about that. Yes. We will not be there documenting this year because of this rule.
Because Ethan is racing.
I am racing it. No, but honestly, it is one of those things that you could actually put the runners at risk by being there. The last thing you want is to disqualify a runner because you are patting them on the back and congratulating them or any of that kind of stuff. So
and possibly getting associated with that runner, yada yada.
Don't even risk it for the runners.
Follow
it on Twitter. Follow Keith Dunn. He's a really funny guy to follow the 11 months out of the year where he's not tweeting about the Barkley. Just a fun guy to follow altogether. Questions?
Yeah, question from Michelle Rice in the chat room. Michelle asks, it seems that one of the best strategies in the past has been for the top Barkley competitors to buddy up and navigate together until the final loop. Are you planning on going solo or joining forces?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the debates in my head that I've been having. I don't like the idea of necessarily calling someone up or making a pact ahead of time. I think I've tried that before, and it doesn't really work. So what usually ends up happening is, after the first book or 2, people kind of settle into their positions based upon maybe their fitness or where they're at. And I think it's beneficial to link up if you can. I don't know if there's necessarily a drawback to it, but obviously we've seen that, I think, in the last several years, that obviously happens a lot. And I think it can be really helpful. I just don't know. I don't know if some of the other front runner guys are going to go gangbusters out of the starting gate and really push it and try and drop the rest of the field. It seems like sometimes that's what they try and do. And I don't know if I want to burn myself out trying to keep up with them. I don't know if that is worth the risk. Maybe it will be. And maybe I will choose to do that, where I push it maybe beyond where I feel comfortable, just so I can stay with them.
Right.
That's yet to be seen. I don't know. And maybe I'm in good enough shape to just where I don't have to push it too much to stay with them. So I don't know. I don't know who's showing up ultimately, and I don't know what kind of fitness they're going to be in. I don't know what kind of pace they're going to be pushing. So and that's kind of the fun of it. It's the unknown, and it's the Hunger Games element of the race, which is crazy.
Side question: do you think there has to this point not been a female finisher of the Barkley? Do you think it'll happen?
I think it'll happen. I don't know when.
Someday.
I think so. Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that there's a lot of women that haven't towed the line yet, that are really strong. I mean, a lot of strong women have, and we've seen a few get the fun run. I think one woman has got onto loop 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. I think that's correct.
Sue Johnston, I believe. So, but yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be great to see. I don't know, maybe this year a woman will finish loop 4. That would be amazing.
Kim and I talk often about this exact subject, and in our minds, a female finisher of the Barkley is about like the best resume bullet point I think a female athlete could have, as being the first female finisher of the Barkley. That is a huge deal. I almost think that's a bigger deal than like first place at Western States or that sort of thing, in my opinion, because it's a testament to the years and the dedication to this event. I can't wait for that day to happen.
Yeah.
I hope it happens within my lifetime.
And I think
great.
you just nailed it by saying the years and the dedication put into this event.
Right.
Because I think we've talked in the past to other Barkers, and that has to be the focus, I think, for a female to finish. I can't wait till it happens.
Yeah, and again, we're talking from only experience from witnessing the event. I have never towed the line. Kim has never, and we don't plan on it. It's not in our wheelhouse. Maybe yours. I mean, say no.
Somebody in the chat room said that I'll probably do it, and they're probably right.
Yeah, so. And you'll probably get it on your first try. But we are graced with guests who have encountered this event multiple times and seen it change and that sort of thing. Speaking of just kind of the change and the fact that we're doing a podcast and talking about it right now and have in years previous, do you like the growth that it's seen? Do you like that people are aware of it? Do you think it's something that will last? Do you think people will forget about it in 5 years, or what do you think of all the added attention?
I think it's fun. I obviously get the fascination with it. I mean, I've been fascinated with this race since 2006, maybe. And I've always known I wanted to do it. So like, I totally understand that. I think it's fun to see them have the curiosity towards it. But yeah, I did wonder that. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to last and people will stop tuning in, on Fool's Weekend and each year. Who knows? Or maybe they will. I don't know. I don't know that it matters to me. I have always wanted to do it, even before there was a documentary that was that famous.
Right.
I won't. But it's certainly talk about it. It's something that it's fun if that's and people want to talk about. Cool.
Yep. I think we're getting a little bit of poor network connection with Jamil, but we can still see him and kind of hear him, and it's going to say poor network connection.
Oh, yes.
So sorry, Jamil, if you can't hear us very clearly, it's just a bit of the Skype network connection. Can you still hear us okay?
I hear you guys great. Am I breaking up?
A little bit of breaking up on your end, but I'm sure it'll work itself out here in a second. Let's get to a couple more of these live questions when we got Jamil.
Yeah, let's see here. Jared in the chat room asked, are you going to film Barkley or just focus on getting all the loops done this year?
That's a tough one. I'm definitely not going to do the thing where I tried to film myself in between loops. There's a chance I might carry a camera with me, which I didn't even think was allowed, but apparently they're looking for people to do that and to film some parts of the race on course. And I feel like maybe I might have the best resume of anyone that might possibly film a race out at Barkley, but
I think that's an accurate assumption. Yeah.
I think it would be really cool perspective and it'd be awesome. I know the effort it takes to film while you're participating in an event.
Yeah. And
I just have to weigh that. Maybe I will probably carry a GoPro with me on loop 1 for sure.
Yeah.
And film a few times. we'll see about the later loops. If I might just carry it no matter what and just see what I get. I don't know. But yes, I do plan on filming the experience as long as, but I'm pretty focused this year. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like really this last week, prior to a week ago, I wasn't very serious. I was just kind of getting my training and going through the motions, but something clicked this last week with my training and the way I feel. And I feel like I'm getting pretty serious right now.
That's awesome. That's an interesting development with the filming of the event. That's in the last 2 years, it's actually been going the opposite direction. So that's interesting to hear that they are looking for that.
Yeah, I was surprised.
That would have made my documentary really great.
Sorry, Ethan.
I should have held out for another year. Jamil, can you film all the course footage and let's re-edit this and call it Where Dreams Go to Die 2 Electric Boogaloo? No, great.
No.
That's interesting. That'll be really great. I hope that they allow it and allow some of us who never get a chance to actually see out there to see out there. I promise you, it's a lot of brown. It's literally just a lot of like trees and leaves and crunching brown and everything.
I love the dead trees out in that park. I don't know what it is. It's weird.
Jameson in the chat room is saying, "Oh, it'd be awesome to do a live stream." That I can almost promise you will never happen.
There's no service anywhere out there.
Keith Dunn is the only person that manages to get a bar or two of service, and even he is walking around finding that one little zone and then popping out a tweet or two.
Could you imagine like Twitch streaming live on the Barkley course? Taking donations from people.
Taking donations, bringing your Xbox out there and playing some PUBG out on the trails on Twitch. That's my gamer showing.
Is it?
Is it?
Is it really?
Let's get to a couple more questions with Jamil here during the main show, and then we'll move into the post show.
Yeah, A2B2 in the chat room asked, do you have a sleep plan for this year?
Don't sleep.
At all?
At all?
I don't know. I don't have a sleep plan. I mean, go as long as possible, I think. But definitely don't sleep before a fun run is finished. So it'd be after 3 laps. Maybe try and get through 4. I don't know.
That's awesome.
But I'm gonna get onto loop 5 this year. There's no question, and we'll just see beyond that. I'm gonna get to 5, so like that's gonna happen.
We're excited for you.
Yeah, man. And we've talked via text and stuff like that over the last few weeks, but having followed your journey for a couple of years and knowing you and you going into this event with legitimate training under your legs this year, I thoroughly believe that not only will you start the 5th loop, but you'll get it done because you know that event. You know everything about the nooks and crannies of the course. The only thing that would ever keep anyone from finishing, you and the other people that we know that are that well trained, is like weather and the things that are so outside of your control.
Falling asleep under a rock.
Yeah, right. Clear it up for us. How long? So on a couple years ago, you managed to get to the 4th loop, but you slept. You fell asleep out there due to lack of sleep and sleep deprivation. How long did you spend out there sleeping?
Well, I was 8 hours over cutoff. I finished loop 4, but I was 8 hours over the loop cutoff. So I guess I might have slept for 6 hours total. I mean, at some point, I kind of later in the loop, I even took another nap because like there was no time restraint. I knew I was over the loop anyway, so I took a nap. I think I had a garden spot, and it was just a sunny, beautiful day. And I was just enjoying myself, and I decided to just lay down and fell asleep for maybe 45 minutes against a tree, and I was taking it all in. But I mean that extra time in doing that loop, I mean, I think it helped me with the course better. So.
Crazy. I'm so blown away with just the ability to train for something like this, the focus on it. It really is an event that takes time, not only to accomplish in that weekend, but years and so much dedication and focus to it. So Jamil, I respect how much time and effort you put into this event, and I cannot wait to see the results that come for you this year. I'm really excited for you, man.
Thanks. Thank you.
How much of your run will be fueled by Freak Brothers Pizza?
Zero, man. I'm not packing any.
You got to get a Tennessee location. That's
But
the next stop.
mashed potatoes. That's going to be my secret weapon.
I want to talk a little bit about gear and technical stuff there. What I might actually do is try to reconnect our Skype signal, because for some reason it's just being a little droopy. So I'm gonna hang up with Jamil right now, but then just bring him right back on. So give me 1 second, everybody.
Droopy.
Yeah, droopy. I don't know why I used that word.
Oh.
Doot doot doot. I think that's much better. Yay!
Cool. Yay!
So
yeah, that's much better.
Yeah, for some reason the internet was just crapping out, probably on my end. But I want to talk about like some of the technical stuff. So yeah, what food are you going to use? Let's talk about that pack.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the gear that you anticipate helping you in this year's journey.
Sure. I linked up with Solomon this year. They've been giving me a few pairs of shoes every year the last couple of years, but they brought me on. I'm on the U.S. team now.
Sweet.
And I can't say enough great things about that experience so far in the first just couple months of the year. I'm like blown away. So their main designer, Serge from Annecy, France, like took my recommendations and sewed together a pack for me.
That's
and I think
awesome.
Guillaume as well, but and also a bunch of apparel, like custom clothes. I don't know. He sent a picture this morning and said they're sending it via DHL from France. So it'll arrive sometime, I think, later this week.
Holy crap. That's awesome.
The fact that a company is making me a pack custom for the race and custom clothing is unbelievable. And I'm really stoked about it, because I love all the stuff, all the extra gear I've gotten so far this year from Solomon.
Right.
I've gotten some shoes that won't be released until the fall that I love, and I'm going to be using the Ultra Pros. I got some of their modular S-Lab shorts that I've been loving as well, so I'm going to be wearing those. And it's all really sleek and lightweight, and the amount of like pockets around the shorts that you can stuff things in, like it just keeps everything like nice and secure. So yeah, I'm going to be wearing a lot of Solomon stuff, obviously, for my apparel and my shoes. I've been getting the hookup from Black Diamond for a couple of years on like headlamps and poles. So I'll be having, and that's the big debate for me, is poles or no poles.
At
It's always the toughest thing, because me as a runner, I
remember
like
that you had that internal debate last year.
Yeah, and I think at one point I asked you and Billy, and I was like, just make the decision for me, and you guys are like, for loop 2, because like loop 1 I didn't carry poles, and you're like, carry poles on loop 2, because I was already looking tired. But I don't know, poles to me, it's like just feels like something that's going to slow me down as a runner. But I go back and forth. Should I start with poles, or should I use them starting on loop 2 or 3 or 4? I know I'm going to need them at some point.
Sure.
So I don't know. I still have to debate with myself what I'm going to do there.
Who knows if you'll even be allowed poles this year. But if you are, don't do them for the first loop, because you did great without them last year. And then again, just do it per loop. Figure it out per loop. I think that you won't need them until maybe like the 3rd loop, and then you can use them to like keep your back straight.
Right. It's a tough call, because it's like, could I save my legs some by using them?
Sure.
But mentally, I don't know. I think I saw it. I might be getting one of those slings where you can just like fold your poles up and put them in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Attach it to like your pack on the shoulder.
Maybe I'll just sling them back there, and they don't weigh much because they're, carbon fiber or whatever.
Right.
Let's see. So that's like gear wise, pretty much. Nutrition wise, I just have a bunch of different options. I'm probably going to pre-make some food in between each lap to eat, some like mashed potatoes and vegan macaroni and cheese and stuff like that. Just so it's easy for the crew. I'm going to try and not overdo the salt this year. Last year I came into camp and I was eating like Pringles and tomato soup out of a can, and I think I overdid the salt content in between. So I'll try keep it a little more plain and not so much processed salt, because I got real sick off that. And then I'm gonna make sure I have plenty of caffeine with me at all times too, like pills or little. I have some tabs that dissolve, different like supplement type things, so that I don't fall asleep out there.
Yeah, good choice. Yeah, hopefully, but that would be a good choice not to fall asleep. Guillaume Calmette in the chat room, who has put it out there that he will be participating in this event. Just completed. He won Big's Backyard Ultra with 256 miles or something ridiculous. But also a guest of the show in the past. But Guillaume says, start with poles. They are so light these days. I love that. That's his argument. Is like they're so light. You start with them.
Yeah, and I think I've been leaning maybe towards that. Just have them with you.
Yeah.
Because maybe, if anything, if I do feel like, oh, it's going to slow me down, maybe that's a good thing, you know? And I just watched, there was that movie they put out about Francois Den, his Mount Whitney or John Muir Trail FKT.
Yep.
You know, and he's got his poles with him. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe it's a good idea. So.
If Francois uses them,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If he's using them, I should probably be using them.
Yeah,
especially at Barkley. So
right. Well, man, I'm so excited for you. Can you remind those who are watching live where they can find you on social media and where they can subscribe to your channel and they can watch some of your video content and find your races so they can register and
find your
pizza. Where can people find all this stuff?
Me personally, at Jamil Coury on the most platforms like Instagram and Twitter. Run Steep Get High is my main YouTube channel. That's where I put a lot of my own personal vlog type episodes and behind the scenes and race films. Era Viper Running is that's where we organize our runs. And Freak Brothers Pizza coming to downtown Phoenix this June.
I love it. I think that's so awesome. Such a cool, unique thing. Yeah. Man, you are an entrepreneur. You're leading the way. Really appreciate you taking the time out tonight to jump on Ginger Runner Live to talk a little bit about the event that's coming up for you. And any idea what's beyond that? Is there anything else happening this year that you're training for or looking forward to?
Yeah, so the Tahoe 200, I'm running that in September.
Sweet.
So first time I'm doing 200-mile distance. I want to see what it's all about. And so once Barkley recovery happens, hopefully I'll be destroyed for like 4 weeks if all goes well. And then we'll start thinking about putting in some high mileage this summer in prep for that race.
Nice, man. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. And of course, there'll be tons of videos to come leading up to that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Plenty of videos.
I love it. Jamil, again, thank you so much for being on the show. If you are watching live, please subscribe to his channel. Get him to 100,000 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
He's next up on the
Thanks,
block,
guys.
including him and Sage Canada, of course.
Yeah.
But we're going to wrap up this main show. We're going to keep Jamil on because we like to do our post shows with all of our guests. If you are a Patreon supporter, we will see you in the post show. If you are not a Patreon supporter, consider it. It's as little as $1 a month, which comes out to fractions of pennies per day. I think, no. Pennies per day, 3 pennies per day, if I do my math accurately. Ethan, work on that. But if you become a Patreon supporter, you can join us for all the post shows every single week with our guests. This week, we will have Jamil. So in just a couple of moments, we will start that post show, and we can answer all the questions that didn't get asked during the main show, including some additional ones. That should be a lot of fun. And, of course, a big shout out to Chris Lee, Brian Sands, and Rick Bjarnason for continuing to make Ginger Runner Live possible week after week at the top tier. And if you have not already, please go to wheredreamsgotodie.com and you can download the movie, the feature-length movie following Gary Robbins' 2 attempts at the Barkley. You can download it now. You can watch it. You can enjoy it for $7. And if you want to get the bonus footage, which will be released after this year's Barkley and after Gary and I sit down to talk about this year's Barkley as well as the previous 2 years, that bonus content will be available there as well for $11, including the feature-length film that's available right now. So go to wheredreamsgotodie.com, get it for yourself, and enjoy. I always ask this, but I always forget. Am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
Cool.
We'll move on to the
we'll move on to the post show. Thanks again to our guest tonight, Jamil Coury. Go to subscribe to his channels and all that good stuff. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the post show in just a couple of seconds. Get out there. Wait for it. I gotta make sure I get to the right screen so we can do the correct.
First time?
This is my first time doing. Again, the software is like so far advanced beyond my brain. Get out there, train hard, race hard, and party hard. It's everyone. What a dandy night. I'll see you guys next Monday.
Ginger Runner.